This is no disaster. This is war. That's what Lumine told Paimon in one of the quests that I did in Act 4. And that's when it settled on me. That's when it dawned on me that, this is the nation of war. And this is a pretty serious matter. And this is the story that I was looking for in Natlan. 1 month ago, when Natlan dropped, everybody's question was, this is the nation of war. So why do we have dinosaurs that look like Pokemon running around? Why is there no war? Why is there no war-stricken land? What's the war like? We got hints of it in Act 2 during Mualani's, like during the Archon Quest where we were at the People of Springs. And we had a war of sorts, like a mini war, like when the People of Springs were invaded by the Abyssal monsters. And it was on a low scale, nobody died, nothing bad happened, like everybody defended themselves, it was okay, nothing bad happened. The main shocker was, Kachina didn't come back through the Ode of Resurrection, so we had to go to the Night Kingdom, save her. All in all, it was a very Genshin Archon Quest, like, our main character saves the day, we're strong, we form friends, we make a team, and everything is good in the end. Come Act 3. Highly anticipated, and everybody was expecting what was going to happen. Act 3 starts off with Xilonen. We're going to go meet Xilonen, and then it's hilarious that the banner character of 5.1 is Xilonen, but she is not that much of a focus in the Archon Quest. The main highlight of this Archon Quest were 3 characters: Citlali, Ororon, and the captain. Now Citlali, beginning with Citlali, she's actually a pretty hilarious character. I found her to be quite amazing, voice acting wise. I played in English, and the audio issues aside, Kachina, Ajaw, Kinich, Lumine being unvoiced, and Xilonen, Citlali having these problems, Mualani as well, the S were a little too pronounced. They were quite obvious when you heard them out. I played through a speaker and it was quite obvious, so I can't imagine how wearing headphones had people who had the problem. But yeah, apart from those issues that were there, Citlali's voice acting was amazing. I can't believe that she is the same voice actor that voices March 7th in Star Rail, who I despise. I don't like March 7th's voice at all, but in Citlali, it was just amazing. She reminded me so much of Faruzan, and her entire personality, her behavior, it just feels like there's a story behind her, and I'm just curious to explore it. Whenever we get her tribal quest or something, I'm just really curious to see how Citlali is. Moving forward from Citlali, we have Ororon. Now, Ororon was a very surprising character because in Act 1 it was presented that somebody from the Masters of the Night Wind saved the captain, and Ororon was thought of as a traitor, which kind of the act 3 kind of clarified that Ororon is not a traitor, but he has his own agenda, he has his own goal, and everybody's goal in this Archon Quest is probably to save Natlan, including the captain, which was a really big shocker. Obviously Arlecchino had that problem as well. She wanted to save Fontaine, and she did everything she could to force Farina to come clean, to save Fontaine, to give a plan. Captain is going the aggressive route where he's already having a plan, and he wants to enforce it, he wants to enact that. So Ororon played a part in it, to help Captain proceed with the plan. And the plan was actually quite insane, because the plan was to rewrite the ley lines, which was, oh boy. I mean, Mavuika explains it in the Archon Quest, so I'm not going to go over in detail right here in this review video, but man, the solution that Captain gave was actually quite bad. It was equally bad as using the Gnosis. So Ororon was there. Ororon's personality is, is actually pretty cute, not gonna lie. He's with the granny and the gramps and the uncle, and he's like a child, but he's not a child, he's smart. He's actually very smart, and he's very determined. So I feel exploring him would also be a really nice guy, and I like that Act 3 focused more on Citlali and Ororon. That was a really good thing that they did, because we developed emotions for Citlali and Ororon. We also got our first face-to-face meeting with the captain, as a traveler, and it was mind-blowing. It was insanely good. At first, during Act 1, obviously he was the captain, so he's the Fatui Harbinger, the first Fatui Harbinger, and everybody's like, maybe he's the villain. Obviously every Fatui has been a villain, and even though they become playable, they're still in the villain side. Child, Arlecchino, Colombina. I mean, we haven't met them, but still, they're on the villain side. Dottore. So Captain's role over here is actually quite interesting, because during the course of the Archon Quest, he accepts Mavuika's proposal to work together, which is absolutely insane. Those two powerhouses, probably the strongest Archon in Teyvat. I mean, I don't know the lore wise, and maybe Zhongli might be stronger and this and that, but I still believe that the Pyro Archon is the strongest Archon right now that Teyvat has. And the captain, the strongest Harbinger. Both of them are working together to stop the Abyss. It just gave me goosebumps, that moment. I think it was in the cave when they met the Lord of the Night. And after that, we had this entire section of Mavuika and Captain talking about helping each other. The Fatui at the command of Natlan's army, they were collaborating, they were helping each other. But that's enough about that. The main focus of this entire Archon Quest that I feel that captivated everybody, that mesmerized everybody, was the war that happened. You begin the quest, Act 4, you leave the inn, you have to prepare for battle. Kachina comes on, Xilonen and Citlali go to meet with the Lord of the Night to talk about the ancient name for the traveler. Traveler wakes up, they meet Xilonen and Citlali, they get a record that the ley lines are now recording the traveler's feats in Natlan so that they can get an ancient name. And then Kachina comes and says there's been another attack all over Natlan, and the Abyss is invading. And at that point you're like, okay, we know the fact that the Abyss is invading, so it's just another go do that, kill them, and it's all done. So that's what happens. Leave for the battle. Leave the very inn for the battle. After that, you're introduced to this temporary map. Now, this temporary map is kind of like, the maps that you have in the summer events, or, in certain sections, in Kanomiya event that we had, in certain sections where, we have this specific map. And Mavuika is there have been attacks everywhere. And the Signs of the Canopy are working as messengers to give battle reports, to give what's happening all around Natlan. And we go on this hot air balloon to the first stop, defeat the monsters. And it's all fun and games over there. It's kind of like a normal mission playing out, because Genshin has been like that. You'd go somewhere, kill a bunch of enemies, and then listen to a very long dialogue sequence. That was the thing that was in Fontaine. Fontaine had maybe 10 minutes of gameplay and then an hour long of dialogue, especially with the court scenes. So I kind of expected that in Natlan as well. And then when the first fight happened, and I was like, okay, then do some optional objectives, talk to this guy, talk to that guy, go check up on them. And I was like, okay, this works. And there was this there was this bar that said that the ley line intensity and the abyssal corruption and the total deaths, total injured, and incidents resolved. And I was like, okay, I mean, it can't be that bad, right? And as the quest progressed, as Act 4 progressed, and then you saw that you had incidents popping up everywhere. You had incidents popping up with the Fatui, you had incidents popping up with the People of Springs, the Children of Echoes, the Signs of Canopy, and you couldn't do all of them. You had to choose. You had two important situations at the same time, and they were like, you have to choose one, and the other one will face calamities, your actions have consequences, that kind of stuff. And it was at that moment, when I was playing, I was like, okay, this is interesting. I went ahead. I was focused on protecting the tribes of Natlan, so I focused majorly on the Children of Echoes, the people of Springs. I didn't focus on helping the Fatui or the Saurians, because the Fatui was being handled by the captain, and I had some sort of confidence that the captain would handle it well. The Saurians were quite strong themselves, and I felt that they would be able to work themselves around it. So my focus was on fortifying Children of Echoes and People of Springs, because the Signs of Canopy were roaming all around Natlan. And as that quest progressed and the abyss became intense, the sky color changed. You start the quest in the daytime with the sun's out, then slowly and gradually the sky turns to grey, then it turns to blue, then it turns to purple, and then you have this cut scene that shows that the abyss is breaking through. You have this big spiral in the sky, and after that Mavuika uses her gnosis to protect the stadium. After that you have more quests popping up, more quests saying that people need help, the monsters are coming over and you can't save them all. And you gradually see the map turning purple, turning you have these incidents that were incidents before, but then you see, when you hover over them, you see that this area has been taken over by the abyss, and there are many casualties, or there are no survivors, or this area has now been lost. And it was during that time that I realized that maybe this is serious. This is not fun and games anymore. This is actually something really bad that's happening in the game. And topped with Paimon's amazing voice acting. Paimon, everybody hates Paimon, but I always had a soft spot for her. And as the quest progresses, you see Paimon, the most optimistic, the most joyful, the most idiotic. I mean, she's quite literally the funniest character in the game at some points. Also the most annoying, but the funniest as well. And you see her gradually, her tone keeps changing. She goes from we're gonna save everybody, we're gonna save everything, to why is this happening, to then when she sees death, and then she's like, no. I think there was this one scene when it was towards the entrance of the People of Springs, and you have to fight a bunch of Saurians over there. I went to do that mission, and the Saurians died. And we saved the humans, but the Saurians actually quite perished. And when the humans said that they're all dead, and Paimon was like, wake up, and you could feel the sadness in her voice. It is so sad, so melancholic. The nature of everything. The music was also very melancholic. Paimon just sounded depressed, and that was something that I had not expected to hear in Genshin at all. Even during the time when we left Paimon during the Sumeru arc, even if that was for a week or so, and Paimon was so scared, and she said that I was waiting for you throughout the day and you didn't come back, and this and that, and I was felt sad. But Paimon was never that depressed as she was here. She was like, this shouldn't be happening. And then you go through all of Natlan. You see everybody dying. You see NPCs die. You see people who were there in the overworld before this mission die. And it was just so sad. It was just so depressing. It was just so, I don't know. I can't explain the emotions that I had during that moment. This is what war looks like. That's all on my mind. And this was something that Genshin maybe tried it out for the first time. I think they nailed it really well, because this is what made me interested in the Archon. This actually felt like a game. I was playing through it. I was trying to prevent an unpreventable war. Unlike the Fontaine Archon Quest, where it was mostly in dialogue, where actually presented itself like a visual novel more, because if you check my channel, I still have a few videos from the last Archon Quest, and they're like an hour long or so, and it's just dialogue, nothing but dialogue. I have I think the final court scene between Navi and Farina is like an hour long of just dialogue, which is insane. So over here we have 2 hours of playable content. Of you have cutscenes, but then you have things that you are doing. You are actively trying to prevent the Abyss from taking over Natlan, and then you're seeing that your efforts aren't working, that you are losing, which is quite a different feeling in Genshin, because you've always won. I mean, like from the beginning, from Mondstadt, you've always saved the day. So when you see that you are actually losing, it's actually pretty disheartening. And I think the deal breaker, you're traveling, you see, and then you see the Abyss throw pylons. I mean, not the pylons that we have to defeat to destroy the monsters, the stronger pylons that don't get destroyed. And then you're like, how do we destroy this? And this is the first Archon Quest that I think I brought out my OP characters. I used my bursts in the Archon Quest. Usually when I do Archon Quest, the quest style is very easy, and I usually defeat enemies with skills and all, and I just go in with a blind basic team, maybe probably the banner character who's probably at level 60, level 70, and then the traveler is obviously there, and then there's one healer, shielder, or someone other DPS, and it's kind of like a mixed bag. It's not a proper team. And this one I actually had to think. I had to make teams. I had to work. I work with the Abyss, and it was a different kind of feeling. Also playing at world level 9 made it more intense, because the enemies hit hard, the enemies have higher HP, so you're like, why is the Abyss not dying? Why is this happening? And then after that, I think the deal breaker was when you return, when you save the Children of Echoes, and then you hear that the flower feather clan was hit, and then you rush back and you see Chasca and her sister Koichi, and then Koichi is contaminated with the abyssal energy. But I mean, the traveler has always saved people contaminated with the abyssal energy, right? They just suck away that energy and the person gets better, right? I mean, that's what everyone thinks. That's what's been happening since Act 1 of Natlan, since Act 2 of Natlan, when the power has been resurfaced. But Lumine takes that energy, but it's still not enough, and Koichi dies. And then you see Chasca's emotions, which were, I didn't expect to see someone close to one of the main characters actually die. I know in Inazuma we had people who died, and there was that one soldier, I don't remember his name, but there was that one soldier who died, and it was sad. I mean, yeah, but over here, Inazuma also had the concept of war, but their war did not feel like a war at all. I mean, even that scene with the Kujosara and Kokomi fighting on Watatsumi Island, that just didn't give the vibe of an actual war like Natlan did right now. And then you see Chasca become the final hero, and then you have the Natlan Avengers Assemble moment, which is actually one of the coolest cutscenes in the game right now. I think Mavuika unleashing her true power. It was just I mean, I had goosebumps everywhere. That scene, I had tears a few minutes before seeing Koichi die. Seeing Chasca hold Koichi and bring her to Mavuika, it kind of reminded me of that pose, when a person holds someone. I don't know why, but it just reminds me of Arkham City, when the Batman brought Joker out, after the Joker died, and Batman was like, I mean, I don't know what Batman was feeling at them, but that pose just when Chasca was bringing Koichi, this is a different kind of feeling. And then there are probably other scenes as well where the person is carrying someone that was important, I mean, in Batman's case, obviously that was the villain, but in some way, the Joker made Batman Batman. So, Koichi dying was actually probably the saddest moment in this Archon quest. And one of the most unexpected ones, obviously. I mean, we also had a sequence with Chasca and Koichi showing how much their sister bond was actually quite cute. So, that was one of the saddest parts. And then after that, the war happens and Mavuika unleashes the power. And then we finally repel the Abyss with Mavuika's help. And that was an epic scene. That was like the most epic fight scenes that I've played in Genshin Impact. I mean, with Mavuika raining down fireballs, helping us, destroying enemies. It was just, peak Genshin Impact. Peak. Amazing. It was like amazing storytelling in a video game format. I did not like the visual novel style that we had in Fontaine with the overly long dialogues and such. So this approach to dialogue was actually much better, because the final act of Act 4 was part gameplay, part dialogue, kind of like a proper video game. So it just felt really well. And after that, Mavuika broke the Abyss and stopped the Abyss, I mean. But in the process of stopping the Abyss, she actually broke the sky, further fortifying the fact that, what Dottore told Nahida, that the sky is fake. And we still haven't gotten information from Nahida yet about whether she has found any more information regarding sky is fake theory and all, but we actually saw that the sky is fake, and behind the sky is actually something in space. And that scene actually reminded me of Lone Trail in Arknights, when Kristen Wright took her Gardenia, or what was it called, Stellar Gardenia or something, and then she broke Terra's sky to reveal the twin moons. And it was just, it was beautiful. It was so beautiful. I mean, the implications of it, the lore-wise, in Arknights, it was just so peak. And I think these are the only two games right now that I've played that have gone through with the direction of the sky is fake. Genshin and Arknights. So it's just, two of my favorite gacha games, and they're both using that theory. It's just amazing. But overall, Captain helping Mavuika, the cutscenes were amazing. The ending where, Mavuika is still going back and looking at her past. I just hope they don't kill Mavuika, man. I'm gonna... I can't take any more deaths. But overall, this was one of the greatest Archon quests that I have played in Genshin Impact. And it's just, I'm not super excited because, the way that, we did the quest, it wasn't that jovial, it wasn't that happy, it was quite a sad approach. It was like a bittersweet thing. And obviously, we still have to get our ancient name forged, and we will be helping Mavuika save the Night Kingdom at one point, maybe in 5.3, but at one point we will be saving the Night Kingdom with Mavuika. So that was my reaction, review, thoughts on the latest Archon quest. It was amazing. It was just mind-blowing. And that's where I'm going to end this video. Thanks for watching. And how did you like the Archon quest? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, goodbye.